welcome. We've got a few more coming on in. There's a bunch of people watching us on the live stream, so whether you are here in person or on the live stream, we are grateful for your attendance today, that you are sufficiently engaged in this topic. It is a topic in which I think another 1,600 of us need to be engaged, but I will ask you to go forward and spread the word and start conversations so that all of us are engaged, because there isn't a job at this college, there isn't a student at this college that isn't impacted by AI and the need to understand and be familiar with AI. So this is only our second town hall on AI. A lot has happened in between. Nothing thanks to me, but thanks to Kim D'Arcy and her team and the committee that has been working on this. A lot has taken place around the college in terms of our move forward in trying to figure out how to make use of AI, how to continue, on one hand, to deal with the academic integrity issues of AI, but not let that get in the way of moving forward with adopting AI, trying to figure out some of the ways in which it can help us in the classroom and in our work, and most important of all, helping us figure out how we're going to impart these skills upon our students. So I would say that we have made something of a pivot from talking as we did at our first town hall back in, I think, March of last year, so about a year ago, when ChatGPT had just been released about 3 months before then, and we were all sort of panicked but also excited by that and talking about nothing but academic integrity. We have made a pivot, and the world has made a pivot, so I want to catch us up and figure out where we are. So I asked Kim and the committee to put together some quick applications, tools to share with you all. And then we're going to have a panel of internals and a student and one very important external. And I'll introduce the panel in about 10 or 15 minutes. But I want to first just introduce this topic and talk about what I mean by the pivot. So when I was talking about AI in the early days, I often likened it to the invention of the calculator. And for those of you as old as me who remember when calculators entered our high schools or wherever you were at the time, it was quite controversial. And some people said, no, you can't use calculators. That's going to stop people from being able to do math by hand appropriately as it was seen by that time. And then that sort of faded, and now we accept use of calculators. And I thought, well, that's an apt analogy. And more recently, I was talking to an expert in the field of AI and said, that's a terrible analogy. And it's a terrible analogy because a calculator is a tool, and AI is not a tool. He said, if you need an analogy, AI is electricity. AI is the invention of electricity. It powers tools, but it changes everything in a far more fundamental way than one simple tool like the calculator. And then I started thinking about that correction to my analogizing and thinking that fits in a lot of ways, because you also can't stop electricity. Imagine when electricity was invented, and very quickly, light bulbs, toasters, all the things that followed, no one tried to stop electricity. And one thing we're not going to talk about today, and I'm sure to some people's chagrin, is how to stop AI at Saddleback College. That's not really plausible. It is electricity, and you cannot stop electricity. The next thing I want to talk about is the importance of this to our mission. I have talked to you many times about how much I believe critical to our mission is the teaching of information literacy to our students, and how difficult that has become in an era of bubbles of information, where we go and find and validate our viewpoints with the information that already tells us what we already believe, instead of doing it the other way around, of gathering information and finding our opinions from the information we gather. And with that, the need to understand where the information comes from and all the biases. Well, I would say to you that the need to teach information literacy is all the more important and magnified by AI and by this new form of scraping of internet information that is far more efficient and far faster and far more ubiquitous in its use than even initial search engines. I will tell you this, I went to an AI boot camp over a weekend, and one of the first things we did was they had a student panel. The average student was using LLMs, learning language models, like an AI-powered search engine, probably 10 to 20 times a day. And I'd say I probably use mine about 10 to 20 times a day. I don't know about you. But the thing about it is, they were like excited about learning new things. A question would pop into somebody's head and they'd get excited and they'd put it into their search and see what they could learn about it. Like, isn't that what we want? Isn't that intellectual curiosity? Isn't that what we want to encourage? But at the same time, if they don't understand where the information is coming from, if they don't understand the inherent biases, who's teaching them that? Where is that information coming from, if not from us? So that's the other pivot I want us to make, is be thinking about our mandate, our mission in teaching information literacy, which now has to include basic AI skills. And that segues into my next part of the pivot, which is workforce. Many people throw around different percentages. It's going to be interesting when we talk to Anthony, when we talk to Carrie, to see their views on what percentage of jobs will be replaced by AI. And someone recently suggested to me that that's the wrong question. The question we should be asking is not whether your job will be replaced by AI. The question we should be asking is whether you will be replaced by someone who knows how to use AI at their job. Think about that for a second. So every one of us has a job, and every one of us will be doing our job better by virtue of AI. And what I mean by that is not necessarily just more efficient, which is what people talk about, or not necessarily that there'll be fewer of us to do those jobs, fewer necessary, but the idea that we can save for our actual interactions with students the human part and let AI do much of that rest of the work. So think about what a counselor does in terms of creating an academic plan. What if AI did the first go-round of the academic plan by asking the student a series of questions about their interests and where they wanted to go, and could use that time that was normally spent writing the academic plan, getting to know the student and supporting the student's stress, and getting to know whether that career was well-founded in their passions and their skills, all the good stuff that's left over if AI helps us do part of our jobs. Well, if our job is to prepare our students for the future workforce, we are no longer doing our jobs if we are not teaching students AI skills, because there isn't a job out there that isn't going to be using AI skills. Some estimates that I've read said 80 to 90%. And you can throw out a job, throw out any job you think of, and I will tell you how AI is going to change that field. If you think about, the highfalutin jobs, if you think about the job of a doctor or lawyer, what is what a doctor does changed by AI? My doctor is already sitting at a computer as he's talking to me and putting things into the computer and getting prompts back about additional questions to ask me. Hey, I noticed you haven't had your tetanus vaccine in 10 years. It's time for another tetanus vaccine. That is a program built into the UCLA system that is telling him it has been 10 years. He didn't scan to find out if it's been 10 years. Well, now think about the symptoms that brought me to see the doctor that day and his physical exam results, all in an electronic medical record. They'd be fools not to integrate AI into that to pop up with some differential diagnoses, with some possibilities. It doesn't mean he won't be making the decisions, but he's going to be guided by AI in his job. And my doctor is a he, so I am using a male pronoun. But all physicians are going to have those AI skills in order to be able to do their job. So the people who will be disadvantaged in the future marketplace are the ones who don't have those AI skills. And that takes me to my last point today before I turn this over to Kim, and that's equity. So we can look at equity issues in AI in a number of ways. One, AI can be super helpful in helping students with disabilities. AI can be super helpful in helping students from a variety of cultural backgrounds by creating additional ways to do teaching without having to teach individually. And otherwise, it allows faculty, it allows instructors to customize what they do for individual students in a way that could be very important for their future. But what I mean by equity here is what I was alluding to in my last comments. I am talking about the failure to give students AI skills when they transfer and compete in the workplace. That is the equity issue. When we were in the pandemic, we talked about something called the technology gap. And the technology gap, as we saw it then, was a gap in the availability of hardware to do the work necessary to be a successful student. Do you have a laptop? Pretty important back then. Everybody's got a phone now. Everybody's got a phone. The hardware is not an issue. The new technology gap is AI. There will be students who come out of schools, fancy K-12 schools, private schools, who come out with AI skills. There will be people from fancy Ivy League universities who come out with AI skills. And what future employers will be asking is, do you have those AI skills? What future grad programs and transfer schools will be asking is, do you have those AI skills? So the new technology gap is now going to be Did you go to a school that gave you AI skills, or did you go to a school that called it cheating? Thank you. Kim is now going to run us through some apps and talk about some of the cool things that are happening in AI development. When we're done speed dating with a few apps to try to turn you onto some of the cool things that are happening, we're going to introduce our panel who are waiting patiently so that we can ask them some questions. I have some questions. Hopefully we'll make some time for you to ask questions as well. Kim D'Arcy.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. How are you? Oh, come on. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, Kim D'Arcy, or am I Dr. Elliot Stern? Here we go. I'm just going to say that. Kim D'Arcy, I'm the Dean of Instructional Support and Teaching Innovations. We have a very exciting event planned for you. So before we dive into what I like to call the lightning round, not speed dating, but lightning round, we have some amazing demos. But before we jump into that, we're going to give you a little bit of an update on the AI work group, what we've done for fall, and then what we're doing for spring and what the future looks like. Now, if you were in several of the constituency groups, we did a little bit of a roadshow to Constitution Council, we did to Senate and Classified Senate. Thank you so much for having us. So we're not going to go through all of the slides, but they will be available for you. Then we'll do a lightning round of AI use, and I'm going to need your help because I feel like when we do the lightning round, we need a little like, ka-chow, lightning. Oh, come on. Help me out. Ka-chow. Thank you so much. So much. So we'll do that. And then, as Elliot mentioned, we have an amazing panel of speakers today. Okay, so we are going to do a quick update on the AI work group. I'm going to invite, it's a tri-chair model, so I'm going to invite Vivian and Alan representing faculty, Classified Senate, and then me as the administrator as well. Speak it to the mic.
Hi, I'm Vivian Nguyen. I'm instructional technologist here at Saddleback College. So I'm one of the tri-chair for the AI work groups. So what we worked on in the last semester, which is fall 24, is to come up with a purpose of the AI work group, and it is to develop strategies to integrate AI into institutional operation and align with the Chancellor Vision 2030. And also we work on the charge, which to develop artificial intelligence infrastructure, policy, processes, and innovation across campus. We are committed to shape an informed and responsible approach to AI that empowers our community for the future. Our members for the work group, including students, faculty, staff, and administrators. So what we did work on the fall is our infrastructure document. We provide tons of professional opportunities and resources, and it's all located in SharePoint. We also sent out surveys to students, staff, faculty, and administrators. We try to assess what AI knowledge and awareness, utilization, needs, and potentials, opportunities for our college. And Alan's going to share with you a little summaries of the surveys that we did last semester.
Hello, my name is Alan Foote. I am a computer information management faculty member, and I guess I'm one of the tri-chairs, for the AI work group also. So we sent out this poll in December at the end of last semester, and we got the results back a couple months ago. And what you're looking at are some of the results from the students. And of course, you can see the first question saying, would you like to see more AI-driven classroom activities at Saddleback? And you can see there's still a good majority that are not sure. This is one of the things I think we're finding. Students are not really sure what AI is. We have a lot of different policies by faculty, and they're a little apprehensive about doing some things with it. But then, of course, you take a look at the one down below. Do you feel that Saddleback College has a responsibility to teach students about AI and appropriate uses? Wow, you can see definitely that's what they think we should be doing, is teaching about AI. And yeah, some of the just general remarks we got out of there. Most students feel using AI improves the quality of their schoolwork. Students who participate in AI-driven classroom activities found it to be meaningful. Well, I can go through a lot of that, and but I think you can read it. And I think the one is most important, possibly down here, 45% of students would enroll in AI literacy workshops, and 55% would not. okay, which is sort of interesting. We have some different things going on, and certainly students are a little bit torn about where AI is and what's going to happen with it. We have in every classroom, I think there's a little bit different policy on how we want to handle AI. So students are a little confused too on some of these things. So let's go ahead. This is getting into some of the items from faculty and administrators. And you can see we have a number of faculty and administrators that are actually using AI for different things. And then, of course, some that are very interested in things like that. And then, of course, if you go to the one down at the bottom, talks about the staff really using it for AI tasks, for administrative tasks and things like that. And we have a large number of staff that are not using AI yet, but I think that's probably going to change in the next few months. I think it's sort of interesting that we did this poll around October, January of this year, and I don't think we'd get the same results if we did it here in April. I think a lot of things have changed, which I think goes to show how much AI is changing. If you talk about where AI was in January in comparison to where it is in April, you have very dramatic differences. So, yeah. And
Do you want to talk about that?
no, go ahead.
So there were two really big pieces that we heard everybody very loud and clear from faculty. They really wanted classroom resources, right? So they wanted guidance, more like what should the syllabus what should the syllabus say? What are the policies across the state within our system nationally? And so what we did is we put like a repository together on SharePoint for faculty that had everything from sample syllabi statements, best practices, how to handle students that you think are using AI in an inappropriate way, how to support your students. And then the second piece, we heard really loudly from classified staff that they wanted resources as well. And so the AI work group that's on our to-do list, we want to make sure that the employees here, not just faculty, but that employees here feel supported as well. So we are working on training for them. We're working on a repository for staff as well. So next steps for spring. Do you want me to talk? Okay. So next steps, one, the AI work group, we also heard this very loud and clear that while we created an infrastructure document that modeled the state chancellor's humans infrastructure document as well, that wasn't enough. So we heard that there needed to be a student AI use policy or procedure guidance, right? People don't like the word policy, and that there also needed to be an implementation policy or guidelines as well. So those are things the work group just finalized, the student use policy, and so that will go before the constituency groups for approval. And then what we also are working on right now is the implementation. So there are just so many tools, and we're excited to show you the demos, but with that, all these tools that are available, how do we implement them at the college in a safe manner, right? How do we implement them so that we're making sure that they are meeting, FERPA and that there's security and data privacy. So the guidelines are something that we're working on. We believe that they're super important. So we're trying to we're trying to work on those as fast as we can. And then same, along with the implementation policy, it's about the selection and adoption of AI tools as well. So those are kind of the next steps for us. The AI work group it's amazing. We're hardworking, and we hope to produce more of these guidances and policies soon in the future. Okay, so this is the time that I need to hear your ka-chows. Ka-chow! Thank you so much. Ka-chinga. Okay, thank you. All right, stop. Okay, we have the lightning round of AI use. So everyone was given strict parameters. You have 5 minutes to do a lightning round and razzle dazzle us. So first up, no pressure, is Chris Stillwell. Oh, give him a hand. Woo!
All right, so let's see. So my time does not start until my PowerPoint is up here. I was assured. Let's see, here we go. This is me. And I'm Chris Stillwell. I'm an ESL professor, but I'm also co-PI for the ACE grant, the AI Communication Education Grant. And I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm going to try to share 5 ideas in 5 minutes. I've got my timer here, and it starts now. Here we go. All right, ka-chow, everybody. So First idea is AI can help us be better educational experts. I really like to think of us as centaurs now, right? We've got the expertise in our heads, we've got our hearts to guide things, but we've got the power of that horse, that electronic horse that can really do things efficiently and effectively. And so one way to think of this is, as educators, we know that quizzes are a good thing for our students. The more low-stakes quizzes we have, the more students will learn. When we have to retrieve information to answer a question, we learn things. But as teachers, creating quizzes can take a lot of time, right? However, if we're using AI and using it effectively, maybe not so much. So here's an example. If I go to ChatGPT and I type in something like vocabulary quiz, boom, I might have a quiz. And I'm done, right, everybody? Ka-chow? No? Oh. All right, so then if I'm done there, then of course I'm letting the horse part of the centaur do everything, and that's not very good, right? So we want to have our own expertise coming in. So maybe I need a better prompt to actually specify what I'm really looking for, right? And of course I need to check what the AI gives me in the end. But if I'm really good about it, I can ask the AI to give me a quiz that is formatted properly so that I can use a tool like this one to upload it directly to Canvas, and in literally 3 minutes from AI to Canvas, I will have a quiz that is ready to take students' answers on it and be graded automatically by Canvas. Second idea, AI can allow us to create tailored learning environments, such as role plays and simulations. That's something that we're exploring in a group, and we're exploring this one because AI role plays are very exciting. It gives students a patient partner that's available anytime. It allows for learning through interaction, and it gives students some real-world situations. There are many other reasons, but these are the top 3 for me. And so we've got this group of people through the AI Communication Education Group I mentioned that's grant funded through the AI Fast Challenge. We're starting with a group of 7 teachers, and we're all exploring ways that we can create role plays for our classes that are through AI. So students are interacting with AI chatbots, and they're learning the content. It could be a physiology class, communication class, English 1, or my favorite, ESL. And so when the students are interacting with a chatbot for an ESL class, yes, they're having great interaction and they're learning through real-world situations, but the AI can also pay attention to what they're saying and later give them a report of, these are some errors you made, these are some corrections, and here are some explanations. And beyond that, it's not difficult to even have it make a quiz for them. And this is all automatically a part of the app that we're creating through the ACE group. Now, this all sounds pretty fantastic, but we don't want to forget that AI cannot replace human interaction, of course, right? So while we're having students do all the stuff at home interacting with their chatbots, we want to make sure that we're also thinking about the classroom and the magic that happens from having all these students in the same space at the same time. So maybe those AI role plays are a way to prepare students for class. Maybe they're doing the role play at home and then they're interacting with their classmates. Or maybe they're doing it for homework afterwards as a way to reinforce what they've learned. And remember that report from the AI about the mistakes that the students were making? Well, the problem here is, maybe you're probably ahead of me on this one, right? AI hallucinates sometimes. And so what kind of a tutor do we really want for our students if it's going to be maybe incorrect even 10% of the time? I'm not personally excited about that, but I am excited about the tutoring center here at Saddleback, right? So students could interact with the AI at home. They could get that feedback and they could bring it in and talk to a tutor and they could evaluate it together. We can get that critical thinking going. Fourth thing, we need to show students appropriate ways to learn with AI. It's a great tool. We can do wonderful things, but it can also be dangerous. It could undercut students' learning in this case. For example, if students are being told that they should use AI for brainstorming, I don't know how much learning they're getting if the AI is doing that much brainstorming for them. But they can interact in a different way. They can say, I need ideas, and the AI could be set up to only ask questions, Socratic. So students are having a thought partner that's guiding them and maybe motivating them, but they're not getting the work done for them. Another one is this use of AI for revisions, right? Lots of people like to look at their papers and ask AI to help them polish it. I'm a little bit concerned about how much we actually learn from those instances. So we could ask AI, though, to compare things. Say, give me the first version of your paragraph, then give me the improved version, and the AI can tell us the first time you said this, the second time you said that. What do you think? Why is the new version better? So the AI is noticing the differences and helping students learn from those improvements to stop and reflect on them. Okay, the last one is we're all facing this together. We're all looking at AI. We're all looking at the invention of electricity at the same time, and we're figuring out how do we do this? How do we help students? And it's really great if we can talk to each other rather than fighting through it on our own. So that's what the AI Communication Education Group is about. It's about that team I told you about. There's going to be more room for teachers to work on innovations in the future. And it's also about communities of practice, getting teachers together for workshops and just to talk. My favorite one right now is this group here where we get together at the end of the month, every month. Alan's a big part of that as well. And we explore AI in teaching and learning. It's the last Wednesday from 2 to 3. If you use the code there, you can sign up for the next one. And just to show you what it's like, it's 1 hour. We want to use everybody's time really well. And we know everybody's coming in with different issues and concerns. So I started last time with kind of a poll of what are you most interested in? And the top 4 things became the 4 breakout rooms that people could choose between. So they could go into a room to talk about the things that interest them the most. All right, there's going to be a workshop coming up, not April 30th, but maybe in the fall. If anybody wants to join me, it's HSS. There'll be lunch. There'll be lots of opportunities to talk to teachers, maybe even stipends. So contact me if you're interested in the fall. And that's it. Thank you.
So I just want to acknowledge Chris. Chris is the co-PI on the California Learning Lab AI Fast Challenge grant that we were awarded. That's a $150,000 grant, and I just want to toot Saddleback's horn for a second. There are only 3 or 4 community colleges that were awarded this grant through the state or through California Learning Lab, and we happen to be one. So that's a testament to our work here. So yay. Okay, so up next is Alan. Okay, and I'll let you pull up here.
Do we want Brian?
Oh, I skipped Riley. I skipped Riley. I'm so sorry. Riley. Okay, Riley's going to do Caring Campus Warm Referral.
I'm doing kind of 2 parts, so this will be a little interesting where we're just talking about how we should be thinking and how we should be educating students. And sometimes the best way that you can learn that is to really start thinking about how you would use AI as yourself. So especially if you were to, in your own heads right now, since we only have so much time, what would you give your AI assistant right now to like help get this done with? And so one of the things I'm going to start off with before we go into Play Lab, now we got to figure out which one of the million of tabs it is, hold on, is doing really good prompt writing. And so prompt writing is just basically how you're asking a question for AI. And so one of the main things that I find myself wanting my AI assistant to do is to help me kind of either communicate maybe better to other people. So to start off, let's have AI give an example of what is a respectful way, well, I can read the typos, but way to tell a coworker that I do not understand the spreadsheet. Not used to this keyboard, but give it a second. Spreadsheet. And so then you give it a second to think. And so since I asked it that I wanted to be a respectful way, even with the typos, it's like, okay, so you want a respectful way to talk to your coworker. And so it gives you options. And I always appreciate how it helps you kind of weigh through it, where it's like, how do you want to approach your coworker and going about this? And so it shows different ways that you can like either have willingness to learn or avoid placing blame. But it's something that has been super helpful when you always don't have a person to talk to. And so especially with students, that can be helpful when you're trying to help explain the importance of a FAFSA. The FAFSA to me, like, I am a tired student, and Gen Z. And so what I'm trying to really prompt it to do is think that I know how I as a millennial student would want my email to be, but I don't know what the Gen Z students or even Gen Alpha, what they're gonna look for. And so then it's like, okay, well, let's start using a way that's a lot more casual on how to communicate with these students. And it uses things like pro tips, something I would not naturally put into my email or anything, to help translate that to a student. Especially more so, what blows my mind with it is, can you translate that into Spanish? And it can. It's not perfect, but I have worked with different colleagues to be like, hey, can you check this email? Does this actually work? Because I realize I skipped introductions with all this. I am a program student support specialist, and I work for Promise program. And one thing that we don't want to have happen is our AB 540 students to feel less access to Promise just because I might not be fluent in Spanish. And so that's where you can come here and prompt it to help you translate communication to other students. Even in Farsi, it can do it. Can you redo in Farsi? And this is where it's always growing. It's always helping in different ways because we know who our campus partners are, that it can help out from translating other people, even if it's in your native tongue, to understanding what they actually look from you. But the hard part is that there's other things that are popping up. like DeepSeek. When you first go on to DeepSeek, this is the Chinese version of ChatGPT you might have heard of. It's a different approach than ChatGPT. When you come here, I wanted to show the link, is that there is a button you can click for English so you can explore it, but it does require an account. And what's kind of interesting though, is that DeepSeek was made more for your more logical side. So if you're trying to do coding, you're trying to think of more mathematics and everything, this is where DeepSeek can come into. So it's not as great as maybe the human connection, though it is better at the global connection when it comes to prompt writing. And so one thing when I was playing around with it that I'll show you for a quick prompt is how it responds to trying to translate a student that might need a little extra help. So I'm going to ask it, what does this Gen Z student mean? What does this student mean? And that is, bear with me, LOL, I think I bombed my test. But like, I tried so hard, low-key, I'm gonna cry. So what does the student mean? And this is where it's gonna be interesting to see how DeepSeek goes about it. And so it goes in and it's trying to say it has their frustration, here's a breakdown, and it's very analytical, which is fine if that's how your brain works. So it's cute where it has the tone, the translation, everything like that. But then if we go over to ChatGPT though, which it's cute, I like its little trying to talk back to it. Stay logged out. You can see Chat organizes it different. They approach it where it's like, okay, here's something that's a little bit more conversational, while DeepSeek is showing in a much more like kind of formalized way. And it's nice to know these tools because all of them are still gonna rely so heavy on your prompt. One thing I really want to emphasize, and the reason why I was so passionate about this, is I learned early on that the information you feed into this machine, as exciting as it is, will spit stuff back out. And we will talk about it over and over again about what's really FERPA friendly and things like that. But I do want to guide you to try to use as less identifiable information as possible when you're prompting this. Because if I was to put in my resume and said, okay, here's my resume I'm so proud of for Saddleback College. I just want to put my resume in here and see how I can make it fancier, and I'm playing with it. Well, I put all my information there. So now when, say, someone else applies to Saddleback College for a same position, whose resume do you think it's going to use as an example? How do you think that feels if you're an EEO rep and one of the candidates has your resume? Doesn't feel good. I advise you to be very mindful of it, because while that was something that was harmless and I'm not going to not help someone with their resume, it really woke it up to me very early on in 2022, how changing things to ABCD College or just making sure that there's no identifiable specific school information makes a huge difference. But have fun, talk to it, see what it can translate, see what it can do. And once you, if you want to even go deeper, that's where PlayLab comes in. Now I have my little speech for it because PlayLab is a chatbot tool. PlayLab is a platform that allows educators to create their own custom AI tools with no coding required. It's designed to make AI approachable and usable for the real world needs. And so for me, it was really helpful because once I did this class through the AI work group, along with Alan and many others, you start to realize how you can kind of control your own. So it does use ChatGPT's engine, but it lets you upload your own references in a more secure way. So in this case, for Caring Campus, I started putting in our Saddleback College catalog. I started putting in the student handbook. I started putting in my own scripts and stuff that I use all the time when I would email students, and asked it to make itself a chatbot. This helped me understand how AI's thought process works a lot more, because now here I am where I have to type, this is your background, that you're a professional at basically at Saddleback College Student Supports. This is the workflow, how I want you to talk and do these questions that was just alluded to earlier. And because of it, now we have a chatbot that you can come into and use those prompts in a way that's a little more personal without having to be so scared about where that information will go. So tell me about counseling services. And since I made this for employees to use when they're navigating it, it does a way where it'll give you information, and it's not always going to be perfect because our catalog is already a little outdated since we changed buildings, so I had to go in to try and manually brute force Gateway and stuff like that, but it'll give you information. Sometimes it's a little too general, might not always be perfect, but when you come in here, then you can say, well, I work in financial aid, and want to refer a student over. typos again, I'll figure it out. That's what's nice. And so then it comes here. And so I had a design to where then this is something you could copy and paste and send a student just here at Saddleback, where it makes sure that I wanted to tell you what the phone number is, where the gateway, what their hours are, links to their website, things like that. So that way you know that even if you don't have enough time to answer that last email, this 2 seconds to do this means the world if the student got that answer on Friday rather than waiting until Monday. And so when it comes to these things, these are really cool tools that we really encourage you to learn more about and to kind of push those boundaries so that way you can start seeing other ways it can be used. In fact, we have another play lab that you'll see later and seeing how that is used in a completely different mindset. Because for me, my AI assistant would help with communication because that's what I'm passionate about. But there are so many other approaches to it that we definitely need to give the tools not only ourselves, but our students so that way they can do the same. And I think that's the gist of my 10 minutes, so we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Riley. Okay, next we have Mike Sauter, who's going to come up and talk about his tool.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Sauter, and I am an alternate media and assistive technology specialist at the DSPS office here at Saddleback College. And I am going to talk to you about the AI assistant that I use PlayLab to build. So I work with students with disabilities, and the students come to me with their issues, their educational disadvantages, and my role is to help them find some use of technology to help them in their education, right? So a lot of times I'll sit one-on-one with the student and try to work through a lot of, what are they dealing with? The classes that they're in specifically, what technology they may be using, what disability they have, and then work through to find a solution with technology in mind, but not always the case. And so when I was introduced to PlayLab, it really sparked my interest because we have been using AI in disability services for many, many, many years. To the early days of text-to-speech engines and OCR, right, to note-taking technology that we use today, we have been trying to find different ways that AI can be used to help students with processing, with communication, and with using their devices as well. And it's in the last couple of years, it has exploded in our field. And I am super excited with the possibilities that we can bring to students. So here's my AI bot. This is a QR code. Feel free to scan it. You can play around with the bot as I go along. I'm going to do a quick demo. One thing I forgot to do is start my timer. I guess I have all the time in the world then, right? 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Thank you very much. Let's go. Okay, so here's the AI bot. So this is, it's an ATA bot. That's what I called it, Assistive Technology Academic Tool. I know a lot about assistive technology, but I don't know everything. And when I work with the student, I'm trying my best to recall what I know and what I can use and apply for this student. But this bot, right, has really opened up the possibilities. So what I can do with this bot is, the intention is for myself or even a student or one of their caregivers to go through this process, right? And so it's really supportive, it's really encouraging, and it is really easy to use. So let's start out with, it's asking me what my name is. It won't save any of this information. It also won't save any of the medical information that I give it to, and it will never diagnose, right, which is key. And that's something that I built into it. So it says, hey, Mike, here to help you, blah, 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 blah. Can you start by describing the challenges you're experiencing, right, or any kind of disability, right? And so I can say, I am having trouble reading my book, right? And the typos are on purpose, right? Of course. Right, so I didn't tell it what my disability, but it's saying, okay, so let me see if I can work this out a little bit closer, right? Are you having trouble seeing it? Are the words being jumbled? Are you not being able to focus, right? It's trying to figure out if is it a sight issue or is it a processing issue, right? And so I can give it a little bit more. You can read along too. It's really supportive, gives me a little tidbits about other people, maybe some famous people that may be dealing with this. Okay, so what is my problem? You know what, actually, let's just tell it. I am dyslexic, became close, and I have trouble processing the reading. And let's say staying focused. Okay, so I'm giving it a little bit more. So now it's got some, okay, I'm dyslexic. Now to ask, what am I using? What kind of technology am I using? Okay, I am on a Mac. Thanks. Mac laptops, great options. On a scale of 1 to 5, how comfortable are you using that computer, right? So it wants to discern if I'm really good on my computer or if I'm, you know, a newbie. So let's give it a 2. All right, can you tell me more specifically about your reading challenges? Are you having trouble, right? Oh, you know what? Canvas is horrible. This is a student. Okay, so it's still trying to figure it out, right? So let's just say I like to listen. It really helps, right? Perfect. So let's find if we can, it goes through, summarizes everything for the student, and now it pops out 5 suggestions, right? These suggestions are based on services that we do provide. Right, so the top one is Kurzweil 3000, which is a wonderful tool that we do offer, right? It's also going to give me a suggestion that's built into my technology, right? That will be free. And then maybe some other tech that may have some cost, right? But they're not required to do any of that. So let's just put 2 in there. 2, right? So the student can actually be engaged in this. They don't have to do a lot of typing, but they're going to build a really good example of what they can actually do on their device. And it'll go on and build them a step-by-step on how to turn it on, and it'll go through and give them strategies on how they can do it. So the whole idea here is for the student to be more engaged in this process. And at the end, it'll ask if they want to make an appointment, right, and come see me, or come to our lab, or just continue to do more with it, right? So the possibilities that I have now with this tool that I'm using with students is incredible, right? Because it just opens it up, right? Equity talked about it. I really appreciate that point that you made. Yeah, this is not cheating. This is expanding. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mike. Okay, now it's Alan's turn. Sorry, Alan. Now it's your turn. Okay.
All right. So yeah, thank you. Okay, and I come on over to, where's it? What happened? Okay. Okay. Whoops, there we go, wrong one. There it is. Sorry about that, got to get myself set up. Okay, I am going to talk about well, right there, what you're looking at is Canvas. Most of us as faculty teach using Canvas. This is really our platform that we use for every one of our classes. We now have an LLM basically in the middle of Canvas. It is a product called Priya. And I am going to talk a little bit about Priya here, just give you a little bit of an idea on where we are and where we can be going with this. All right, so I am in my modules in Canvas, and I am coming on down here. This is one of my classes. I am a CIM instructor, Computer Information Management instructor, and I'm going to click on this, and this is going to take me into Priya. All right, I'm still staying within Canvas. All right, I haven't left that environment. I haven't gone out to ChatGPT. I haven't gone out to Claude or anything else. I'm here in Canvas. All right, and so, I'm ready to go. And of course, I can put in prompts and things like that. I'm going to come on over here because I do have some prompts written down, so I don't have to, don't have to type all that stuff. But this is going to take a moment. Here, let me see what I got. Okay. Yeah, here is one of my favorite prompts. And I'll just jump back over here. In my class, I have our students create SharePoint sites, Thurman. We're creating SharePoint sites, okay? So I am going to ask Priya, all right, how do you create a SharePoint site? And I'll just go ahead and click on that and give it a few minutes. It is now in a position to tell the student how to create a SharePoint site. It'll take a second here or two. But yeah, again, in the middle of Canvas. All right, I haven't gone out to ChatGPT or anything like that, and it's going with step-by-step instructions on how you can do that. All right, you of course can also do graphics. Now I'm not going to do a graphic because, put in the prompt I should say, because it's going to take 5 or 10 minutes. Doing doing graphics takes a little bit more time, but I've got one here in my background that give you an idea. Yeah, here it is. Let me see, this is a graphic. I put in a prompt saying, how about an image of a personified computer to be used for my Canvas class? And in a matter of minutes, of course, took a couple of minutes, it brought up this. And of course, I'm going to put that as my banner at the beginning of my Canvas course, and students can go in there and use that. All right? So I can create these images. I'm still in Canvas. I haven't left Canvas yet. All right? The third one that I'm going to sort of jump in here about and just sort of talk about here, I have an assignment that we are going to use something called a Power App. And I've got an assignment that is particular to my class, and I am going to put in a prompt about the assignment. The assignment is using Access, and we're creating a Power App. And please, I don't want to get too carried away with my course. But what I'm doing here is I'm putting in a prompt very specific to my course, because the student's going to have to do this assignment. This might be a quick question they've got. So I can go in here and put that in, and in a matter of seconds, it's going to give the student back the information on what they need to do, okay, for completing this assignment and really getting started is what this is all about. All right? So you can add, what this is down here, you'll notice I have 13 files already loaded in here. This is sort of like ChatGPT or some of the other LLMs. You can put in your own files. And that's what I've done here. I put in all my assignments. They're right here, and the student can go in and ask a prompt like I just did there for one of the assignments and be able to, get instant information about it. So what is also really great, and I'm going to sort of make a little bit of a jump here, because one of the things we're, as faculty, are very much concerned about is what are students doing with your LLM? Well, here with the way we've got Priya set up, I have the ability to go in there and check what they're doing, all right? And I can come on over here to histories, and I've got a relatively long list, I think. So yeah, give it a minute here. All right, and oh, there we go. That's what I was looking for. You can see I'm in there a lot, okay? But as I go on to the next page, all right, you will see here, for example, Shane is jumping in. That's one of my students. Lucas is jumping in. And I can go in and see what they have done using Priya. And if they're doing something that we don't want them to do, we certainly can correct them and things like that. But to a large extent, I also get the ability to see who's using this product, who's using Priya and who is not, and sort of give encouragement to those that are not using it, et cetera, et cetera. So you do have some ability to audit it. Okay. Yeah, you bet. I'm sorry. And now what I want to do is really move on to the next probably important thing, which is on our list, which is Copilot. All right? I am extremely privileged and honored that I am using a pilot of Copilot from Microsoft. I'm probably one of the only people here, one of the very few people here at Saddleback that has this, and this is changed my life. That's the only way I'm going to put it. It's changed my life, and it is going to be coming to probably everybody here at Saddleback. Let me get done with this, and I'll show you why. I'll show you why I think this is coming to everybody in Saddleback in the next 5 years. 5 years, okay. 5 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay? But And we need to start thinking about it over the next 5 years, and that's really going to be the point. I am here in Office 365. I'm going to do this online, but if you'd like to do it on the applications that are actually on your desktop, you certainly can. But here, let me just go ahead and give you an idea on what's happening here. I'm going to come on over to PowerPoint. This is PowerPoint. Like I said, this is PowerPoint online. I certainly can do it in, I can certainly do it in PowerPoint on my desktop. It's just more convenient for me here. I'm just gonna go into a blank presentation in PowerPoint, all right? And this is the little Copilot emblem. And right there, it says create a presentation. So I'll just click on that and say, create a presentation on AI. Innocent enough. Yeah, give it a couple minutes. It's going to create a presentation on AI for me. All right. There it's setting up the slides, telling me what the content's going to look like. And then there's this little button right here that says generate slides. Boom, do that. Yeah, that's what's going to be involved in creating a PowerPoint presentation with Copilot. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, it is a rough draft. It is an early draft. I would never recommend anybody submitting this and going with this. But, okay, yeah, we'll take it for a first draft and we'll go from there. I'm going to sort of move this around a little bit. Oh, it's still working. It's because it's putting in all those graphics and things. Okay, it's going to have a graphic for every one of them. I'm going to come on over here for just a second and go into the editable view. And I'm going to come down to the second one. And let's say that I don't like the way that's being worded, those two sentences. Of course, over here is my rewrite button. I can click on that rewrite and it will automatically rewrite it for me. Okay? And it will go through a whole set of gyrations and come in there for you. So you have the ability to rewrite it that quickly. All right? Now, I'm doing this in PowerPoint. I must admit, where I use it all the time is Outlook. I write my simple little email in Outlook, bring this up, and boy, this does an incredible job on rewriting whatever I wrote. Just incredible, all right? And so that's why this is really just such an amazing item that is coming, all right? Now, this is only part of the deal. Let me go on and go a little bit further with you. I'm gonna actually come on in here to Copilot. One more minute, okay. I got 1 more minute, so I'm going to go through the Big Bang. All right, this is the thing that we should be aware of, and I will bring this up for just a second. Give me a second. Okay. Last week, Google came out and announced that, well, let me back up for just a minute. This is the Microsoft version with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, et cetera, et cetera. Google also has this version, okay? They call it with Advanced Gemini. Last week, I believe it was either Thursday or Friday, they announced that it's free to all college students. So what I was just talking about, if Google is giving this away free, Microsoft is going to be competing with them. There is a strong competition between the two. And if they start giving this away for free, we've got something to go. Okay, sorry. Sorry. Anyway, here's the point. Okay, I'm going to come on back here, put in my prompt.
You all get it for free when that happens.
Anyway, all right. And so I put in the prompt saying, is Google giving it away? And what's really interesting about this is that we wrote a number of emails about it, and it went into my emails up here at the beginning. Excuse me. I'm trying to show that up here at the beginning, this is from my email packet in Outlook, all right? Showing that this is what I got. It is also showing me what we've got from the web, all right? This is the thing that is so incredible about Copilot, and the way we've got it set up here is that it's not only looking at your LLM, it is actually bringing in Outlook. It is actually bringing in SharePoint files. It is actually bringing in OneDrive. Everything that we've got here at Saddleback now becomes part of the LLM, and you can go in there and get that information for Just a prompt. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you so much, Alan. Okay, we have one last demo and then we're gonna move on. So Vivian, come on up. She's got 3 minutes.
So I'm going to quickly show you what's available in Canvas. Before I go to Canvas, do we know that we all have Adobe's Access? There is one thing that's called Adobe Flyfire that you can create images. Just quickly put any prompt that you want. So I drafted a prompt that I wanted to drop it in. You can use ChatGPT to dropping a prompt here. You can generate an image, and then it will generate it for you, and then you can download it and add it to your Canvas course card. Simply just download it and then go to your Canvas. You can also change the size so that you can make your backdrops or the Canvas homepage at your landing page. Let me go to Canvas. Now we forget. Apologize, I don't have access to that course because we have 2 instances, and I'm in the instance of just user account only. I'm just going to pick a different course to add it in. Couldn't get to that course, so I'm going to try a different environment. So I'm an instructor of this course. I'm going to go down to the course settings. And I can choose that image to drop it in because I already downloaded to the downloaded folders. So on the dashboard, that course card is going to show to you and your students when they open the course, and that's the images that you download from Adobe. And of course, you can create and change different size to create your homepage as well. So that's one of the things. And in the course, Canvas course have 2 native tools that instructor or student can use. The first one is for everybody, instructor and student. They can search anything in Canvas. And it's using AI to search all the courses, pages, discussion board, anything that native within Canvas. It does not search anything that's like the third-party applications, but anything within Canvas. So that's the search features. For discussion, the instructor access only. Instructor can go to a discussion board where student reply a post, and they can get a summarize of the discussion board. And it'll give the instructor a sense of what did the student talked about, what did they respond, what's the key point, and what should the instructor address on for the next lectures. So as you can see that it turned out pretty good to give the instructor an overview, the summarize of that. And another tool that I wanted to show that only instructor access only, which is Camigo Teacher Tools. And this tool is provided by Khan Academy, and it's part of Canvas now that instructor have access to. What they can do with this is they can create lessons plan, they can create quiz, they can create letter of recommendations, which I'm just gonna do quickly demonstrate on that. So they can create a lessons plan. So just a few click, instructor can do, you can use existing content from Khan Academy. Just select a topic and select the choice of your format. You run 5 parts. If you want highlight detail of that lessons plan, or you just want an outline. When you select an outline, you can start, of course, instructor can always put in their own contents and generate lessons plans. All they have to do is just put in either the content of the lessons or the objective, and it will generate and give the instructor an outline. And what instructor can do is also ask additional questions like, can you create group activities, for example? And AI is just going to use the lessons plan and give the instructor creating a group activities for the instructor so that they can build for their own course. So that's just one of the tools out of many in Khan Academy provided for Canvas. It's called Camigo. So if instructor not have a chance to play with it, I would encourage you to play. So there are many tools. So if you can stop by the Faculty Center, and we'll show you some more AI tools. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Okay, now we have a very exciting part. We're going to go ahead and move to our panel discussion. So I'm going to have Elliot take it away.
Please join our panel then, Kim.
Yes.
Thank you. One more round of applause for all the people who presented. There are many people who are watching on the live stream, and I know many of you are excited about the apps that you have discovered. You can enter those in the chat, and that way share them with everybody else. This won't be our last town hall, so we'll have more opportunities to share some of the stuff that's happening on campus, but we want to make sure everybody has an opportunity right now to feel heard. I want to make a couple comments from things that were said. One, you heard a reference to hallucinations. We may get a chance to talk more about that with the panel, but there's one thing I want to say about that, and I think our panel, I'm going to guess, is going to agree. AI is getting a lot better, a lot faster, so the problems that you encountered in AI even a few months ago, you're going to find the answer today is a lot better. So you don't want to dismiss AI as unreliable because it's getting more reliable with each use. Go back and check the same prompt you checked a few months ago and had problems with and see how much better it is. The second thing is you heard, I think Riley mentioned, the idea of AI in its early days spoke in sort of an ESL voice, kind of a flat, rule-based voice. That's changing. AI, you can now give it samples of your own writing, and it will write in your voice. So for all of you who think you can detect your students using AI because of the voice, I don't know how to tell you this. It's not so much. So just know out there that it's getting more sophisticated, and this idea of keeping ahead of the technology for detection is going to be more difficult. I also want to mention the possibility of using other LLMs. Many of you are playing with other LLMs. I like Claude. It has a really good voice recognition software built into it, so I can ask it things while I'm driving, and that's a really good use for me. Sorry, I ask things, but I'm not like otherwise. I'm focused right on the road. I'm just hitting the microphone. No other buttons are in use. And then finally, I just wanted to mention that we are working on ways to make sure that Copilot is available to everyone. But in the meantime, you saw some of that functionality of making a presentation. Regardless of what your LLM is, whether it's Copilot, whether it's Gemini, whether it's Mistral, whether it's Claude, they all make presentations. Give it a prompt of something you want to hear about, and then your next prompt is make that into a presentation. They all do it. It may not be in PowerPoint, it may be in Adobe, but you will get a nice slide deck out of it. Gemini and Copilot will add graphics to those. If you're using a different LLM, you're going to have to go to a graphic software and then put in some open source software, some open source graphics into it. But it is super easy to do. I do it regularly. Many people do it regularly. It saves so much time, and presentation is so basic to almost every job on this campus. So very important that you do that. Without further ado, I want to introduce our panel. And I know we have limited time, but our panel will stay. If you have additional questions questions beyond that. So I promise we're going to get to your questions eventually. Carrie Irwin oversees, as you know, dual enrollment, but you may not know that she's also integral and part of the leadership of the workforce team. So here to address some of those workforce needs related to AI. Alan Talavera is a computer science student joining us here with a student perspective today. Thank you, Alan. Riley, as she told you, is a promise coach, one of the two best promise coaches that we have. She is so good. Alan Foote teaches SIM, and you saw some presentation. He's been a leader at this college in developing AI and getting us all to move along with it. Anthony Ferry, I asked here this week, for those of you who may not know Anthony, Anthony is a serial technology company entrepreneur. He's developed several companies successfully and continues to work on new companies. He, not too long ago, sold a company you may have heard of called Nudesic to IBM, and I looked it up on DeepSeek, and he sold it for $34. So I think it is a very successful sale. That was a DeepSeek dig, in case you didn't notice that. Vivian is an instructional technologist, part of our technology and innovation team. Chris Stillwell teaches in ESL. You saw him demonstrate today, also been one of those faculty AI leaders for us. Thurman Brown, in case you don't know, is our IT director. He'll be able to talk about some of the future needs in addition to Copilot 365. And Kim DRC, you hopefully know as the head of what is ITSE? It's Instructional Technology. Go.
Instructional Support and Teaching Innovation.
We're going to get it. I promise I'm going to get it. So welcome to our panelists. I promise you I will not ask a question and ask every member of the panel to answer the question. But I do want to start with just one quick round, 30 seconds each. I want to know how AI is impacting what you do in just 30 seconds. Carrie, what's it got to do with workforce?
So in my role as Assistant Dean in Economic and Workforce Advancement, I co-chair the Career Education Committee, and we extensively talk about workforce needs as it relates to preparing our students. So preparing our students is probably in 30 seconds what I'm here today to help encourage.
Thank you so much. Alan, tell us how you're using AI, how it's impacting you as a student, a computer science student.
Yeah, so
There you go.
So studying computer science here, there's certain skills that no university really teaches. A big one is what you would call CI/CD in the industry, or how to kind of rapidly deploy your code and test it to make sure it's functional before it goes to live users. That way, if you need to change something about a website, a button, maybe it's not going to break the website for everyone. So, since that's not something that I can access here at the university, I use AI tools to help walk me through the process. And as you can see, these big companies are throwing free software at us all the time. And in fact, GitHub Actions is such a CI/CD software, and that's available for free for anyone with an .edu address. So, I encourage people to stretch yourselves and grow and try new things and learn. There's never been a better time to be building and learning.
Riley, you talked about how it's helping you interact with students and provide a more customized approach. Anything you want to add to that? And everybody, if you want to turn your microphone on and then just sit back from it, I think that's probably the better way to go.
So for me, because I was using it originally as a student, because I've been here for about 7 years now. So ChatGPT was coming a thing when I was being a student and trying to see how to use it as a tool. But for me, for my job portion of it, as I work with students, is to either help my colleagues or the students that are coming in with how to be curious and safe about this, where you can use it as a tool. Because for me, when I was in high school, you weren't allowed to use Wikipedia when you wrote papers. That was immediate, that was plagiarism. There was so much controversy about Wikipedia. And so then I come to college and I learned it's about how you use the resources properly and how you do citation. And so with this, I use this a lot to help improve my communications and approaches when it comes to different bigger projects. It's how I multitask so well, but I do see this as like my daily is more, how do we stay safe and excited about this?
Ellen, you gave us several examples of how you're using it in teaching and learning. How is it affecting the field, per se? How is it affecting how you prepare students for their careers?
Well, before I answer that question, I'm sorry, I got to give a plug. I got to give a plug to the fact that we are going to be teaching in the CIM program an introduction to AI in the fall.
Yay.
So we are going to have a course that students can take on all about AI. And yeah, as far as the field is concerned, there's a lot of demand. Employers, I think 77% of employers ask about AI skills when you go out on a job interview. So our students need to have those AI skills if they're going to get a job with 77% of the employers. So that's sort of where things are. Is that good enough, or you want me to go
It is, but I now want to ask you a follow-up. So you and Carrie, I want to know, is that course going to translate to a badge that somebody can post on LinkedIn, can put on their resume, can show I've got those AI skills that 80%, 80, 90% of those employers want?
Okay. You are asking a great question that I am asking the tram all the time. I'm sorry. All right. And I hate to bring you in on this, but this is our dilemma, because what is happening is at the CSUs and the UCs, they are definitely developing bachelor degree programs in this. And we need to be able to articulate our course so they can go into those programs. Unfortunately, when you try to do that articulation, it gets into a very much concentrated, almost computer science kind of curriculum, which is great if you want to articulate, but if you just want to learn basic AI skills, you're going to be blown away. All right. And this is somewhat of a dilemma that we need to make a decision about. How are we going to handle these courses?
Good.
And I'm not sure if we have the exact answer, but we're definitely talking about it.
Carrie, anything to add?
I do. We know that the workplace is changing. We know the way that students find jobs is changing. We know that the questions that are being asked of them are changing. And so for us to be able to offer documentation that they've learned AI literacy and that they're prepared for the changing workplace, having a badge posted on LinkedIn can be very powerful. The Career Resource Center does a really great job of preparing our students with LinkedIn profiles and ensuring that they're really maximizing the way they're presenting themselves. And for those of you on live stream, I'm pointing at Rita because she's right here in front of me, the director of the Career Resource Center, who does a really great job of ensuring our students can communicate those skills.
So next time we come back for another town hall, let's talk about how much we've accomplished, and we're like ready to do that. Anthony, 30 seconds. I'm sure you can tell me everything that's happening in the tech industry regarding AI in 30 seconds.
Well, I can wax poetic about everything that's been said right there. Being an employer, actively involved in about 6 different companies presently, and Nudesic is, albeit selling it for $34, had about 2,000 employees at the time. So seeing how much it's changed from just a very, very short time ago to now is it's ridiculous. So answering the question of where it's not affecting life is probably easier. But just to speak specifically to employment, one of my companies is already mandating AI skills with every single hire. But before that, we're mandating a process of evaluating whether the hire is required and whether or not there is an AI or an agent out there that can do the job that we're suffering or that we need help with. So, so we're already there with one of them, and the other ones are just going to come quickly. I think it's difficult for workforce right now, not only to on both sides, and I see both sides. I have 6 children, 3 graduated college, 3 in, and so how difficult it is to apply. You now have the help of an AI that can apply for 1,000 jobs every minute if you wanted it to. It's right in your resume. It's doing this, it's doing that. Well, guess what? On the hiring side, I'm filtering all those out as best I can. So it's this spy versus spy that's getting very, very, very difficult to navigate. And so I think, to your point, the floodgates open. You can't stop it. So we really have to empower this next generation with the tools they need.
Vivian, how has support of students as an instructional technologist changed? How are you using AI in that regard? You gave some examples of that. Tell us more about that.
As instructional technologists, we always, there's 3 of us in our teams, we're always trying to looking for tools, the right tool for students, supporting students as well as instructor to better save their time so that they can providing efficient feedback and develop engaging tools for our students to learn better and get the better result. And AI is extremely helpful in every manner. As far as you can see that we have several tools already embedded into Canvas to make faculty's life a little bit better, efficiencies to help students better in the outcomes.
Chris, as I think about language acquisition, I can't think of any area where it feels like AI has had a bigger impact already.
Yeah, I would agree. And as a teacher, it's really exciting because something that was never possible before is I can translate something into all the languages of my class. So I've got Farsi, Spanish, Ukrainian, Chinese. I can throw instructions up there in all those languages. But even better, I can ask my class to translate it back to English for me. And I can be pretty confident they understand what's on the screen. But can you use present perfect? Can you use simple past? Whatever it is. Can you help each other, even though you both speak different first languages, to put together a good sentence? That's a really dramatic new possibility for us.
Thurman, tell us what you're thinking in terms of how you're preparing the college in terms of hardware, software, and the platforms to get ready for the future. And is this going to be a problem with everybody choosing a different app and a different LLM? How does that make your life more difficult?
Alan keeps promising everything to everyone. From my perspective, it makes it difficult only because there's such a wide array of products out there that people would like to use. So trying to find a way to open the door, allow that creativity, but still put some fences around it so that we can control it and we don't have a loss of data is probably our best thing, or my biggest thing that keeps me awake. Side note, I want to share my favorite bot. It's called PoliteBot. If you ever get frustrated, just type in all the stuff that's in there and let it speak to you very nicely.
I noticed that the LLMs are getting very deferential and they've learned to flatter. Have you noticed that too?
I have, although it never flatters me. I call mine my Kim LLM. It never flatters.
I flatter you all the time.
She did tell me to behave. I apologize. I don't get out often.
Thurman, one more question before we move on to Kim. We've heard about a lot of different LLMs, and Riley expressed concern about putting student information or your own information. What protections are there? Are there specific LLMs that are better at that than others? Give us some advice.
Yeah, so any of your commercial LLMs will just resell your data. Most of the ones that we get through our licenses, our site licenses, enterprise licenses, those do not. So if you get one through the school specifically, those will not share the data. It keeps it internal. There are products that are overseas that they abide by GDPR, which is kind of the European version of privacy controls. Those are a little bit better at protecting your data. But here in the United States, we sell everything. So if you put it into one and it's not one through us, you probably are sharing your data.
I love people getting excited about Gemini. Like, wait a minute, who owns Gemini? Like, you don't think Google's going to sell your information?
That's right.
One of the European ones that Thurman didn't mention specifically that I will call out that's quite good is Mistral, yes. M-I-S-T-R-A-L, owned by a French company. So they have to follow, as Thurman taught me, EU policy, which means they cannot sell all of your data. There are strict restrictions on it. Though Anthony shared with me that's probably not going to last very long because sooner or later they have to figure out how to monetize their product, don't they? I want to go back to the student perspective on this. Ellen, how much are you using AI in your personal or student life?
Every day, all the time. I just think that you can't not use like such a powerful lever. I think the best way to learn computer science is by building projects instead of just practicing specific skills. Obviously, practicing skills is important, but learning how to bring all the skills together to build a real product for real people is much more, educational. And again, like there's never been a better time to learn and build. I'm hoping in the next year to launch a personal project of mine, some software I really want to use and I want to share with other people. And for this, I need to build a user database that can accept user login credentials, store the user information securely, and allow them to authenticate and do everything that needs to happen. I can get a top-of-the-line user database, best in breed, first 50,000 users are free. So it's you got to be using these tools, otherwise people who are going to outcompete you.
So is that how you're learning these skills? Are you picking up a new tool and learning how to use it? Is it part of your curriculum in computer science? Where are you getting your AI skills?
So I'm in a little bit of an odd spot as a computer science student because this is my first semester here, but I've studied coding before, just never went all the way through a degree. So I have some skills that probably like a person right at the beginning of a course would not normally have. That said, I'm looking at the curriculum. I'm planning out, okay, these are all the things that I'm going to learn from the college, and then these are the skills that I want to pick up on my own, and just putting myself out there for internships or whatever practical experience I can get to make the difference.
Carrie and Anthony, both of you mentioned the need to teach a base level of AI skills for the employers who need them. Can you break that down for us in lay language, really simple? Give us some examples of AI skills. Like the only thing that comes to mind for me is like prompting. You have to know how to create prompts. What else is there on that list that we need to be teaching all students, whether they're going to be poets or computer scientists?
I'll jump in first. I think prompting is table stakes. I mean, it was a short year ago that I was encouraging all my kids to be prompt engineers, and now I say, nope, next thing, you'll build agents or omni-agent platforms. But tools like Cursor.io and Replit are allowing non-coders to do some pretty amazing things. And so before you start paying for a database, I'd go out there and see if Replit will build it for you.
I use Replit.
Well, there you go.
So hang on, Anthony. So instead of a job that used to have to be hand-coded, now you can give an instruction to an app that will do the coding, the back end for you.
Yeah, even what's changing from the skill sets is they're broadening. And so as you mentioned before, it's not putting people out of jobs, but it's making you so much more powerful in the job that you're in. And so I actually see the shift going, and I hate to say it, I'm a computer science grad, but all the coding I learned, I don't think I'm going to write another line of code in my life, because it's moving the other way to the designers and the creatives and the thought leaders and visionaries, because they're so empowered now. We've seen in one of my companies a designer, a creative who, and this is a software company, he builds the look and feel of the software. He understands human interactions, human interfaces, and things of that nature, and builds them. Usually that process would be he designs it, and then it goes to requirements to document it, and then it does detailed design, and then it goes to engineering, and then they spec it, and then iteration back and forth between those 5 people. He's now taking it all the way to engineer, and so he's rapid prototyping the solution that's in his head, that's closer to in his head than having to gone through those 5 games of telephone to figure out and to build what he actually wanted. So it's amazing, the rapid development and just that next step of taking that to production. So we take that piece now and we'll give it to the engineers and let them analyze it for security and scalability and all those things. But he's taken us a lot further than before.
Thank you. Carrie, what are those basic skills?
So if we take what Anthony just described and we drill that down to the students within our schools, students in B&I will need to use AI electricity for forecasting, data analysis. Our students in health and wellness, they're going to need to use AI for diagnostics, medical imaging, personalized treatment plans, which you were talking about a little bit earlier. Our STEM students, robotics, automation, intelligent systems. So this is kind of really drilling down to skills that students need to use with that AI electricity, which I love that coined phrase. Even our humanities and social science students, they're going to be using AI for enhanced behavioral analysis, public policy reviews, and so on. So it's really taking our critical thinking baseline that we're ensuring our students have, and how can they assess the data or what their task is ahead by using these strong tools.
Can I add a few to those? So for our art students, for our AMP students,
sure.
Iterative apps where the creative content initially then goes through multiple iterations through AI. The work that used to be done by a whole team can now be done, unfortunately, by one person. Business, when we talk about your area, the business area, marketing, operations, finance, oh my goodness, poor finance people. These are things that are all being enhanced by AI, but will ultimately replace jobs, or at least the jobs will be replaced by people who can use AI on that job. Kim, I passed you by on purpose because I wanted to come back to you with a really important question. So what are we doing as a college to prepare students with these skills? What's our plan for making sure this diffuses out, not just to a computer science student, not just to the SIM students, not just to the lucky ESL students that happen to have Chris, but how do we make sure it's going out throughout the college?
Good question. So in the instructional support area of the house, I think the key word is being nimble. So since the college has really adopted and taken on AI, we really have tried to find ways that we can be innovative and support our students. So I want to give you one example. Our librarians, so awesome, shout out to the library. Okay, so thank you so much. So our library, they were at the forefront of developing an AI literacy workshop for our students. And so there were several other colleges that were asking us to put it out on the Creative Commons, and so that you could adopt our workshop. So that's a Canvas-based workshop that's open to all students. To date, we launched it, last year, and we've had over 1,000 students take that AI literacy workshop. And that's literally about, informing them about the pitfalls of AI, how they could use it in their class. And so on top of that, even in tutoring, in honors and all of our other areas, we're trying to find ways that we can support our students and really give them the information. You saw in the student survey, they believe that Saddleback is responsible for teaching AI to them. And so we take that pretty seriously here.
Thank you very much. Real quick lightning round. We're going to go across the table. And then I know there are people who have to leave us either here or on stream at the bottom of the hour, so we have just a few minutes left. Don't apologize for leaving. We understand completely, but we will stay here for another half hour if the panelists can stay for a little bit, and we will try to answer your questions. So quick lightning round. What's the future for you? What can the college do to support your area, Carrie, in terms of development of AI and making sure our students have AI?
I'd like to see us continue being open to letting our students explore AI tools so that they can be ready to use them in the workplace. So that means we have to have projects in class, hands-on, that's continuing dialogue with our industry partners to get some real scenarios that would make sense to replicate in the classroom. So I would encourage us to continue being open to allowing our students to learn.
Did you go to the college that taught you AI, or did you go to the college that called it cheating? Mm-hmm. Really strong statement I heard from somebody. That's why I keep using it. It keeps me up at night sometimes. Alan, what do you need as a student that you're not getting? What can we do to help prepare you for a career?
I actually really like the computer science professor that I'm with right now, and I've heard good things about others in the department, so I feel good. But again, there's certain critical computer science skills that a lot of universities don't teach. And that's kind of just something you normally learn on the job. So maybe, get some more classes in there that cover certain of those skills that are kind of like the missing link to help you get to a, strong first hire.
Riley, what's the next step? How can we help you help more promise students?
It's just making sure we have the space and clear policies, because I think right now, since there's not really policies written that the students can understand, they have that fear where they think, oh, these are great skills. You're teaching me how to use this as a tool and not as to be more efficient, not rather as a replacement of doing the work. But how do we make sure the students realize that when they do use it as a tool, are they safe? And are doing safe practices. So I know the AI work group, the district, we're working on it, but that is something that the sooner we get that done, the sooner it can take off that mystery of well, where am I going to get in trouble if I do use it? Yeah.
It's confusing for students. I heard that on the student panel. That was one of the number one things. They said, you go into one class and I can't use it. I go into another and I can. Now, you might say, well, okay, well, each one is clarifying their policy, but back away from that and see that from the perspective of a student. I'm not sure I understand the policy.
So could we put that in the course description?
I'm going to deflect on that one for just a second. Alan, you've been at the front edge of this movement. How do we keep you at the front edge?
I'm going to actually make a comment from a class I went at Microsoft last Monday. And their comment was to really learn AI and get comfortable with it, spend 11 minutes a day for 11 weeks. And that should be our goal, I think, for all of us, including our students, just to spend 11 minutes a day doing any of these things and getting comfortable with it. And so that's sort of going to be what I'm going to continue to do, of course, at least 11 minutes a day, but continue to expand it because it is just amazing how many things are changing and how fast this area is developing.
Where would you have people start that 11 minutes? Is that pick an LLM, do some queries, then expand them? Is that what you would have them do?
That's where I think I would start, okay? And what we have found from some of the classes we teach, they really like the graphics, the images. So just go into an LLM and say, hey, I want a personified computer that I can use as an image and let it do it. And then that becomes a great way to kick things off.
Yeah, I used to search for open source images for so long through Google searching. It was just a ridiculous task. And now an AI tool will make one up for you, an original, and you basically have access to it. So that's a great place to start, just for people who want to use a lot of images in their presentation. Anthony, I didn't share with people that you're an alum. Anthony went here as a student, if I can say, when you weren't sure what you wanted to do and weren't sure what the next step was.
Yeah.
So what's your message to your alma mater?
You didn't teach me anything about AI back then.
No, we did not.
But what I will say, and actually that's a great segue, you didn't even know you did so well there, but encouraging curiosity for me. I was a smart kid, but had no idea what I wanted to do or anything, and Saddleback really helped me to find my way because I took a whole bunch of unrelated classes, everything from art, and obviously I did take a computer class, but I took auto shop, I took computer-aided design, I took a whole bunch of stuff, and theater, communication arts 30 way back in the day. But encouraging that curiosity, I think, is number one, because that's what we're having the hardest time with right now on the employment side is those that are kind of stuck in their way in their job. And just knowing that those boxes that every job description out there that you're trying to fit curriculum into, all those boxes are broken. Every one of them is broken. And so encouraging curiosity and discouraging complacency is about the best thing I could see coming out of the students these days.
That's great advice and not typical advice. We hear a lot about problem solving. We hear a lot about critical thinking. We don't hear a lot about the need to instill intellectual curiosity in our students. Vivian, what can we do to help you in better supporting students? Have you got everything you need? What are the tools you need?
We actually have support from Kim and Trams for our instructors with other tools that they need. So we like to expand that a little bit more, incorporate more tools for students to use, and I'm sure Trams and Kim will support that.
Chris, I'm going to deviate a little bit for you. Give us like 30 seconds about the grant. You got to tell us a little bit about the grant.
Oh, sure. Yeah, so very exciting. Basically has 4 parts. One part is research, so we're talking to students to find out how are they using AI, what do they need. I'm figuring we're going to learn things from them because the students are as excited about AI as the rest of us are, or at least people up here. And so we're going to find out some great things there. The communities of practice, so teachers getting together and learning from each other is a big part. Innovation, so we're doing role plays right now, but down the track we'll be inviting people to work on other kinds of innovations, and then workshops by people that are on the team and also by students for students so they can share with each other what's working for them and how it's helping them learn.
That was a great elevator speech, by the way. That was really good. Thurman, what's the future for technology on our campus? You ready for this?
I think we're ready in terms of technology services. What we need is some focus from the campus community to help direct us on where we need to go so that we can provide the support. As you know, we're already working on the framework for AI. We're looking at some of the AR, VR stuff that we can incorporate. But I think by and large, we're ready. We just need to choose a tool and keep Dr. Barnett away from them. Sorry, I just shot out because I saw him. But yes, I think I'm
assuming that was a cybersecurity reference, right?
It was. I've been dealing with him on the Cyber Operations Center for the last 6 months.
Everything exciting has another side to it. We just want to point that Jeff has a good perspective.
Yes, I love Jeff. But to kind of what Alan was speaking on using this stuff, I think that's the biggest thing. So technologists and those obviously on this panel, we like to tinker. We like to play. Anything comes out new, and the first thing we do is we start playing with it so we can familiarize ourselves with that product. Because we're just curious. I like teaching that curiosity and getting people out of their comfort zone, because the thing that most people on our campus and by and large fear about AI is the unknown. So as we start to play with it, I think it gets a little bit easier to digest. It's not a replacement. It's more of kind of like that icing on top of a job or a person's job functions. And it allows you to kind of automate or figure out ways to get some of that monotony out the way so you can focus on some of the higher end issues that you have.
And does AI put any strain on our system in terms of bandwidth, power, all that stuff?
No, I'm kidding. One search on ChatGPT takes about this much water. Every search, doesn't matter how big, doesn't matter how small. To train ChatGPT 4, when it was in its learning phase, it took 100 days at $1 million a day to train that. It spit out roughly 12,500 to about 15,000 pounds of carbon emissions if it was developed here in California. So it's not like LLMs or AI are necessarily good for the environment in and of itself, but they do have a lot of offsetting qualities.
And maybe next time we have a town hall, we'll bring Morgan and talk about the environmental implications, because I think that's important. Again, we can't put the genie in the bottle. There's nothing we can do about that. But I think it's at least good to be aware of what we're doing that we're going to need to offset. Microsoft is, for those who don't know, reopening 3 Mile Island to generate enough electricity to power, its cloud-based servers that are doing AI. Kim, wrap it up. What's our future? What are you going to do for us?
Oh, man.
Oh, everybody else was, what can the college do for you? And I kind of switched that. Now, what can the college do to support you?
Where do I begin? I think from an administrator standpoint, we speak about how quickly AI changes, how quickly technology changes. I think for us, it's finding the balance between being innovative and bringing on new things, but also following the college and district processes of how we do that. So I think sometimes the challenges I face as an administrator is that by the time something is finally approved and we're ready to bring it on, it's obsolete. So those are things that I'm trying to navigate. Also, I just want to say that I wrote a rec letter. Well, actually, ChatGPT wrote one in the voice of Dr. Elliot Stern in support of the AI Fast Challenge grant. And we did get that grant. Thank you. Thank you, Elliot.
And we did get and I thought it was good. I
thought it was a good letter. Thank you.
It was colloquial and not overly formal or rules-based. So it is getting better. Did you actually ingest anything I had written? Did you feed it to help it?
No, I literally said, Dr. Elliot Stern, Saddleback College president, in his voice, and it was a pretty good letter.
Okay, this stuff is getting freaky, this AI stuff. I want to open it up for those of you who can stay. Any panelists, if you have other commitments, we completely understand if you need to leave, but if you can stay with us for another 24 minutes, we'd love to ask you some questions. Who in the audience has a question? Please, Berlin.
In your opinion, how can we use AI to help more of our Black and Brown and underrepresented students? And I love what ESL is doing. That is super cute. I love that so much. But like, what can we do to make sure that our students who are already disadvantaged or are underrepresented in our institution?
Who'd like to start? Anthony?
Just one. I think it's evening the playing field. At least I like to hope and think that it is to some degree. Language barrier is fantastic. I mean, knowing that you now have those with no secondary language skills whatsoever have abilities and with technology to engage in conversation naturally and comfortably with almost anyone. And I think education as well. I've become extremely conversational with my ChatGPT or Claude as a friend. I would encourage that same thing because you can this isn't a language thing at this point. It's just education. Just, I want to learn this. What would be good? What would be a good skill? On the drive here, I literally was just talking to my AI the whole time. Soon those will be personalized. They'll be like an assistant, but I like to hope and again think that that's evening the playing field of bringing that to all, regardless of race or any protected classes.
Anyone else want to add to the equity question? Thurman?
So we went down to San Diego for an AI conference just a couple of weeks ago. Several of my panelists and Brett Myron. They're currently creating a lot of AI tutors, and they speak various languages. They can read your facial expressions or the student's facial expression for that matter. And that's also they will take problems as people are working through it and ask questions to see what the person is struggling with. And then it will reframe that problem or question so that person can learn, and it lowers that learning curve or flattens that learning curve. So I think that's another way that AI will bridge that divide and help for some of the underserved and underprivileged.
And if I can add to that, you shared with me something from watching that AI tutor, and you just alluded to it here. It picked up on facial expression. So the student who didn't have the wherewithal to come forward and say, I'm still confused, it picked up the facial expressions. So it knew based on some of the wrinkle on the face that the student still wasn't getting it and was able to respond. So that's another good example. If I can add one more to the mix, I at my AI bootcamp saw the creation of a digital twin. So imagine an instructor, and now you have a digital twin created from video and audio recordings of that individual, where you can can write in a prompt box and it will speak whatever you're asking it to speak. And now it can speak in 140 languages. So imagine the student where English is not the primary language, who can now translate into their native language and not have the double step that English language learners have to do of first translating back into their native language before they can understand a concept. So imagine how that levels the playing field. Anyone else want to add to
one more.
Rita, do you want to add to the question or a new question? Use the microphone, please.
I would say. So Rita, Director of the Career Center, we have a tool called Big Interview, and it is AI powered to help students understand how to interview better. What's amazing is they've created a scoring system so that you can actually listen to the AI ask you questions, record yourself responding, and it tells you this is how many power words you used. You had this percentage of positive eye contact. So similarly, reading those expressions with the tutor, it's really powerful, and we've been using it with faculty in some of the classes and in ESL, and it's very helpful in terms of second language acquisition to be able to see and hear that feedback in real time.
Super smart. Anthony, I have a great idea for a company. Teach people how to behave on a date. It would watch them interact and give them feedback. I have some friends who struggle a bit with that.
One quick note, I actually am advising and working on the screening side. And that's the nice thing about an AI is you can train it to be, colorblind and we actually think we might remove the human aspect out of the hiring process altogether, just to some degree.
And a lot of large companies have gone in that direction, getting rid of interviews and moving onto objective rubrics.
Yeah, but imagine having a perfectly well-trained AI doing your interviews for you. It used to be the other way, which was, how can you screen out the applicant of their, any distinguishing characteristics that would, place them in a minority class or something. So you could filter that out. It's like, oh no, flip it on the air. Just don't have a human on the other side.
Yeah.
So kind of excited about that.
Berlin, it looks like you had a follow-up when I approached you.
You mentioned the technological the tech divide.
The tech mix.
And I just, as an institution, I feel like it's a responsibility that we look at our students who might not want to use AI and that we make sure that we are doing equity work and paying more attention to them so that we can get them up and, make sure that they get the jobs that, our white upper class students might have more access to.
I completely agree. There's something often referred to as tracking. Like sometimes we say it's the student's choice. They chose to not learn AI. They chose to pick a career that was not remunerative, but we're responsible for that. We help de facto in that tracking, and we have to make sure that we're not doing it. Looks like you want to add to that.
So I just want to share something personal here. When ChatGPT 3 first came out, I kind of ignored it. 4 is when it started to get pretty interesting to me. And then my first time using Replit was brought up as kind of what you call a vibe coding tool. You give it a natural language prompt and it does a lot of the business of coding for you. I was so astounded by how powerful this tool is, I could not sleep that night. And I thought it was going to change so many amazing things in our society and empower people to be creators. So if you really want to light that fire for your students, I would put these tools in front of them in a way where they can see the possibilities and what they can achieve with them. And to me, that's the most important thing, is get them excited about working with them.
Can I comment, Elliot? Just
Please.
one thing. So, Thurman and I have been working a lot on AR/VR technologies. And I think to Alan's point, we're trying to bring in, technologies that, one, speak to that divide, but that also excite students, right? And so we're trying to find, maybe it's that Dreamscape Learn, like everybody's heard about that VR platform. Maybe it is that intro to bio kind of excitement, entertainment that you watch. But what was really great is that Thurman and I have been looking at ones that, are about the human anatomy, that's about, traveling to places that students may never be able to go to. So I think, one, it's about bringing in technology that's going to capture your attention and excite you. And that's what we're trying to do here.
And that's also a great example. And when Kim speaks of AR, VR, augmented reality, virtual reality, now under the umbrella term, sometimes you'll hear immersive learning. So simulations that feel like 3D by virtue of wearing hardware that allows you to have that experience. So Dreamscape is a great example because they have their own platform. And if we all want to go look for different immersive learning opportunities and choose different apps, we're going to need 100 different platforms, and that doesn't work. So one of the things we have to do is kind of coordinate. and decide what are the agnostic platforms, what are the agnostic platform agnostic products that will allow us to do that.
On that note, that was a great segue. Steam is the platform that has almost all the games, all those kind of applications that you're speaking to. And for gamers, Steam is actually, Microsoft and Sony are kind of laying down their arms when it comes to hardware hardware war that they've been having for years. They're just going to have a platform and everything will go on to Steam. So not only will gamers and younger students be already kind of familiar with that, but some of the AR, VR headsets that we've purchased that we're getting online here that I'll be putting in Vivian's area under Kim's purview will be some of those devices, and it will take you to places like the Louvre or different places where I would have never gone. Nobody may have the ability to travel, but when you put these on, it may stoke some of that curiosity, and they may, decide to broaden their horizons in other ways than just educationally.
Which I think also loops back to the equity question, turning people on to something they might never be exposed to in their entire life and getting them excited about it so that we've lit a fire under them as well. Another question?
Yes, Dr. Stern. I don't think I need a mic.
You do carry.
So I just returned back from a 4-day trip to South Carolina for DoD Cyber Convention. It was AI focused, and there were 3 things that I came back with. There were a couple of Fortune 500 companies there. One of them actually said, just like Anthony, before you hire someone, explain to me why I can't hire an AI to do the job first. The other 2 comments that came back were, and this was from a 4-star general, retired assistant commandant of the Marine Corps. I got to meet him, you Rob. They said that right now in DoD hiring, there's 2 big problems. Number 1, soft skills, and of course AI use, but I guess 3 things. And the last one was this idea, talking about equity, talking about, how do we prepare our students. And they said the number 1 problem right now is that the new hires don't understand the difference between self and service before self. They said that they come to work and they last about 3 months in the DoD because it's their mentality. They weren't brought up with, okay, it's not kind of like the old Uncle Sam. It's not what Uncle Sam can do for you, it's what you can do for Uncle Sam. He said it's come full circle now. So one thing, I guess the thing that I'm adding of value to this conversation is when we're trying to prepare our students, it's this current generation, they're struggling with that concept.
It's a really, it's something I think about a lot. How do we move people? How do all of us move from a mindset that is increasingly facilitated in our culture of my pleasure, me, my selfie, I'm in the picture, to one of what am I doing for others and how am I part of something bigger than myself, which can be equally satisfying or more satisfying. Anybody care to try to loop that into the AI conversation? Where could AI be helpful in that regard? Alan?
Chris, this is role play. This is exactly where we go into role play. I know Chris is doing it with English as a second language, but one of the things we've been experimenting with and playing around with is setting up a role play and putting a student with the AI encountering having to use soft skills. Okay, so this may be the next thing that we do after we get done with the AI Fast Grant is start moving into role play, and we're looking at it in business. Okay, how a student is gonna pick up these soft skills by using role play in a business environment.
That's going to make Rita very happy, I'm guessing. Chris, you want to add to it?
Well, I would agree with what Alan said, that role play offers a lot of opportunities, simulations. And I don't know if this is relevant or not, but I'm making a tangent to DebunkBot, like just opportunities to, when people have views that are kind of building barriers between us, like political polarization, right? There are ways that AI can help people examine their beliefs and maybe challenge their beliefs. And maybe that's one of the beliefs that could be challenged, but any kinds of beliefs that are building walls between us, I think there's opportunities there for AI to maybe nudge people along in something similar to a role play, but sort of examining the beliefs and challenging them. So the DebunkBot, if you haven't heard of it, will take people, will engage people about conspiracy theories, and will ask a lot of questions and have them have a back and forth. And apparently people are more comfortable having that conversation with AI than with an actual person, and it seems to have an impact. So I'm kind of looking for ways to take those findings and apply them to the bigger societal problems like what you're talking about.
This gives rise to a question for me, and I'll open up to anybody. But one of the issues that we have with LLMs and AI in general is it scrapes everything off the internet, right? Which means you've got biases, you've got racism, you've got bunk, you've got pseudoscience. Is that getting better? And what's the future of that? How does that change if we've monetized it, and the incentive for all of the monetary systems is to get eyeballs to stay on that particular app or to pay the subscription? Anthony?
Yeah, the almighty dollar is going to be the problem here. The training models will figure that out. The training models are getting better and better, and they get to reverse back and look at just a broadly being built factual model that they'll be built off of, and so they'll take out that opinion and those things, because it's in all of their best interest to have a just reread. I'm going to date myself. The Encyclopedia Britannica, right? It's just supposedly it was just facts, right? Okay, there's where you start. Train it on that. You train it on occurrences, natural things of that. So they're all working towards having an appropriate data set to be able to train their models. But yeah, where this goes and driving those dollars, like right now we talk about the cost of a query or a chat being a bottle of water or this and that, and it's all being provided to us for free. Well, it's not going to be forever, and then you're going to pay for it somewhere. All your ChatGPT quotes are going to be loaded with ads or something like that, or your AR headset's going to be bombarding you with ads and all of those things. I don't know how else they'll monetize it, but it's not going to be free forever, and time will tell. But monetizing it is a challenge, because I'm working with a couple of different companies about how you pass on these capabilities that you have from an AI that are going to be stacked on top of other capabilities. And so if the one at the very bottom charges you a fraction of a penny per token, and then, oh, but I use this agent over here to do this, and that one charges me in this way. So monetizing these things is going to get, using them is going to get very, very expensive. And then monetizing them again at some point, someone's going to have to pay for it.
Do we have anything online? Anybody with questions?
Yes.
I'll come back.
Yes.
Okay. How can the teacher make sure his or her role is still the leading one if AI can do many things better and faster?
Maybe our faculty. Chris, Alan, as early adopters, do you feel like your role has been usurped?
No, so that's a great question. I think it's back to the question of, are you somebody who knows how to use AI to do your job better? And if you're not, then you're going to be replaced by somebody who is. And I also like to come back to the thought that there's a special magic of being in the room together with other people with a shared purpose and an opportunity to learn from each other and have that social aspect as well. And AI is not going to fill that gap. So that's another thing that we can all leverage. But I'll pass it to others, yeah?
With going back to the calculator, it changed the way we taught math. Okay, AI is going to change the way we work in the classroom. Very similar to how we now have online classes. And you can see how this campus has been dramatically changed because of all the online courses and things like that. AI is going to have that. Does this mean that we're going to not need instructors? We still need instructors with online classes. We haven't lost that. So it's just going to keep changing. And really in the last 50 years, I'm going to say education has just been changing all the time, and we've got to adapt.
And can I just say to the submitter of the question and to everyone in the room, my goal is not to replace a single job on our campus now or in the future with bots. My goal is to give you tools to make your job easier so that the human part of what you do can be front and center. So some of the grunt work of creating presentations, of Q&A for the same questions you get over and over again can be picked up by technology so that you can be a human being with people. I think that's where it's at for us, I think, and what could fit better with special sauce and Saddleback than taking away some of that grunt work so that we can be more human. I'm going to go to a question in the room and then we'll go back. I'm sorry, more than one?
Yeah.
Okay, you were first and then we'll go. Okay, we'll go back.
I'm very glad that Alan said that there will be a course on AI. I'm very glad that Alan said that there will be a course on AI. But if I want to divide AI fast. I mean, I didn't think about it much. I think there are at least two segments. There is one which is, I talked with Chris before, there is one which is all text, information, and get text back. And there is the part which is all graphic, which I use as an architect, landscape architect. So I think that course, maybe it is two courses instead of one course. That one is more graphic oriented and the other one is more science, text, coding, and this and that. Also, I think we have at college, we have to think that the part in the college, which is architecture, landscape architecture, graphics, and painting, all that could be challenged in the future with the AI, because I have done it at home, that I ask, draw me a landscape plan which has 2 trees, 5 shrubs, and this and that, a fountain and a chair and bench, and right away it gave me like several plans. I tried to show it off or show it to the student at school. It didn't do it. I'm not sure what it's a problem of a server or this and that. We have to think that one too. But we have at the college, we have to think about that part, that it's not going to replace anybody or any work, but it's going to be challenging. Also, I'm very honored that every time you were talking about languages, Farsi came first, which actually I prefer Persian instead of Farsi, because, so I prefer to say Persian. But any text that I tried it before, I translated text from Arabic, because in my religion I have much Arabic text and English to Persian. It is only 50% good. So I think at college, some knowledgeable person, especially the new generation, they don't know too much about the classic Persian. So I think somebody at college, anything you do in Persian, I'm sure we have older Iranians like me in college, they have to check all the text that is actually good Persian. It is not like a Google Persian, because some expression I give information to AI, and now they have more information, but we have to think about that.
It gets better. I want to say one thing about your first comment. A few years ago, we wanted a landscape design for our backyard with a pool, and I used Shrub Hub. Clever name, eh? Shrub Hub, like Grubhub. Shrub Hub was $350, and it gave us 7 different designs for the backyard. And then we paid for a half-hour consultation with a landscape architect who oversaw the automated portion of the design creation. So there's still a place for human beings, but you are absolutely right that the number of jobs in some of these areas is not going to be what it used to be, because there used to be a principal and many entry-level jobs to support the principal, and those entry-level jobs are going to be harder and harder to get. And we need to be realistic about that as we advise students and we think about what their future looks like. Thurman.
Just to kind of jump on the coattails of that, of the second comment. Being in technology, I've worked on computers since it's been 40 years. The thing is we watch in technology, things change so rapidly, and this fear always comes out, right? We used to program in with punch cards, and then, all of a sudden you had to program in DOS, where there was a big fear of people losing their jobs. Then came along the GUI, and everybody thought, the jobs are obsolete, even though it was built upon DOS, right? Yeah, Y2K, everybody freaked out over that, right? I'm not dating myself, I read about this. But when Y2K came along, there was another one, right? The .com. Like every time something new comes along, there's a set of fear that comes along with it. What nobody talks about is how quickly in technology the jobs have moved up on the pay scale, because now, to your point, some of the mundane tasks, they've been automated. Right? We no longer need more of the front end folks to change hard drives, memory upgrades, that kind of stuff. We have computers that are lasting longer. We need people on the back end to do the SharePoint sites, See, I got you. But to also do all the LLM stuff, you know, to make sure that we're programming, that's where IT is kind of shifting to, where the front end devices are becoming just a thing of the past, and now everything is on your phone or something else. So the skill sets get higher for many of these professions as opposed to being replaced.
In conclusion, we've come a long way in a year plus, but I'm very optimistic that we are in a good position. I'll take it in just a moment, but I know people have to leave. We are in a very good position to make sure that our students' future is secured and that our own jobs are secure, but it's going to take work to get there. We have a lot of work to do to make sure our students are leaving us with requisite AI skills, not just in computer science and in SIM, but in all fields where it's going to be relevant. And we have to take the 11 minutes a day to actually start playing around and learning until there's the course for us that we can go to and learn maybe en masse. We've got to figure out a way to make time in our own day, like anything we do, for our own professional development, because this one's not out there in ready form. We've got to make it ourselves until we can make it for everybody. So we're going to let people go that need to go. I'll wrap up any last questions for those who want to stay, and thank you all for coming. And if you're live streaming, thank you for joining us today.
Please. Hello, everyone. I'm Richard Nelson. I'm the chief of police. This is more of an equity question. So I just had 4 daughters